Sunday, kids.
Yeah, we're not going to see you. I don't think Siva's going to be at our site again. Oh, Sunday maybe. Yeah.
Well, welcome everybody to the 2023 Adult 40 and Over Section Championship Captains Meeting. Thank you guys very much for being on, and thank you for captaining. This meeting is being recorded for those of you that are just popping in. So they make us say that so that you know you're being recorded. We will make this a YouTube video and send it out later so that it will live in infamy as the captain's meeting. So I'm going to share my screen. I do have a PowerPoint. You guys have seen the majority of it before. I use the same basic PowerPoint, but just know if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat or just come off mute and ask. We want to make sure that you're completely prepared for this weekend and get any questions that you have answered. So we will get started. There it goes. All right. So this is the 2023 Adult 40 and Over Section Championships. This is all levels. So this is everybody plays a little bit this weekend. For we have two different geographical locations. We have Eastern Mass and Rhode Island. In Rhode Island are the 3-0, the 4-0, and the 4-5 men, and then everybody else is playing in Eastern Mass, and those are the club locations for both areas. I would like to do a few a few reminders for everybody, and if you have questions about how to check in or what the procedures are, please definitely ask. Before your first match of the championship, we'd like for you to check in 45 minutes early. That's not 45 minutes before the first match. It's 45 minutes before your first match. Come to the tournament desk. Let the site director know who you are. That way we'll give you your player gifts and your lineup cards. And you still have a few minutes to fill out the lineup cards where you have to turn them in. For all other matches, we need you to check back in with your lineup filled out 30 minutes prior to your start time. Make sure that all of your players are there and ready, shoes tied, rackets in hand. And that way, when we can get you guys out, we can get you guys out and keep the tournament moving at a pretty steady pace. Your players don't need to check in individually with the tournament desk. We have quite a few that do come up, and that's fine if they want to come say hi. But you're the only one that officially needs to come and check in with us. And then your players need to come find you when they get there so that you can keep them kind of corralled. When we call them to go out on the court to play, they'll need to provide a government-issued ID. It can be a driver's license. It can be a passport. It can be anything that just proves that they are who they say they are before they play. And then the last thing is there's no coaching of any kind. If you could please let them know when they're on the tennis court, everything that happens on the tennis court, they are responsible for. So they can't signal you and say, we need water, or please go get the site director. We're having trouble with line calls. If there's anything going on court, they need to leave their rackets on the court and come directly to the tournament desk and talk to one of us. We're there to support and to help all the players. So if there's a conflict that they can't really resolve within 30 to 45 seconds, whether it's scoring or it's just any kind of an argument that may or may not happen, they need to come see us. They can't send you to see us. So please reiterate with them that whatever happens on court, they are responsible for, and they are more than welcome to come and get us for any reason. We do a round robin format here. So you guys will play round robins, and then the levels that have multiple flights will have playoffs at the end so that we get down to one national advancing champion, and those are all in your schedules. We play 2 out of 3 regular sets. So we do play with ad. There's no time limit. So those of you that are used to playing with a time limit in your local areas, please know that there's no time limit here. You get to play until you're done. We use a 10-point Komen tiebreak if you split sets. And if one of the sets gets to 6-all, we play a 7-point Komen tiebreak. And in your packet that has been emailed to you, there's directions on how to run a Komen tiebreak. So if your players aren't comfortable, they can print that out and they can keep it on court with them. Or if they get stuck at some point, if they're running a Komen tiebreak, they can come to the site directors and also ask for help as well. Please make sure they switch on the odd games, including the first game. There's no rest, but there is a switch. And the 10-minute warm-up does include serves. We need to keep to that 10-minute warm-up so that we can keep on time and make sure that the rest of this tournament is not behind. The players do need to come after they're done with their match up to the desk, one from each team immediately. So as soon as they're done, they can't hang out on the court. They can't watch other matches from the court. They need to come, return the balls, report the scores. They initial by their names. And then when the entire scorecard is filled out, then you as the captain will come up, double check the scores one more time. And if it's correct, then you'll sign it. And once it's signed by both captains, we can add it into Tennis Link. So does anybody have any questions? Those are just some kind of basic things that we get questions about a lot. Okay.
I have one question.
Yes.
If you had some people that were away for sectionals and your team happens to be the one that advances to nationals, do they have to play in this weekend's tournament, or are they still eligible to play in nationals if we made it that far?
So as long as they have the required number of matches to advance, they can go to nationals. They do not have to play in a district championship, and they do not have to play in a section championship.
Okay.
So your computer-rated players need 3 matches, one of which can be a default, and your self-rated players need 4 matches played. So as long as they have that, they can go to nationals.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question. It's Matt Ames from the Cedardale team. On that note, it's matches played in this season on this team, right? That's where the count starts, right?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay. Just making sure. Thank you.
Yeah. So we are no default championship. That's because we do the round robins. We want to make sure that everybody gets to play all the lines. So there are no known defaults going into the championship. If for some reason there's an unintended default, say for instance, you only have just enough players to play and somebody gets hurt the first round and they can't play the other rounds, line 3 doubles would be defaulted. That line would then be defaulted throughout the round robin, and that would include reversal of any previously played matches. We do that so that nobody has a mathematical advantage when there's a single line default. However, if your team then advanced to playoffs, that line is reset. All lines can be played, and you don't have to carry the default into any semis or finals that were played later on. Okay, so we do run a 3-strike disqualification report throughout the championship, throughout the weekend, and I'm going to let Pete talk about that.
Okay, throughout the championship on a regular basis, we run a report that's provided to us by National, and it looks at all players that were either self-rated or computer-rated appealed down, and it looks at their the dynamic ratings that they generate for their different matches. If between the regular season and the championship they hit the significantly out of level on dynamic rating, they generate a strike, and if they do that 3 times, they strike what's called strikeout. And the national regulation is that then the matches for that particular round robin would be reversed. The captain, the site director, and the player would be notified as soon as we knew it, and it doesn't happen that often. Some of the questions that typically come up are, well, can I know how many strikes someone has? And no, that's all governed by national, and they don't disclose strikes prior to a 3-strike DQ. It's it's a very administrative process. We have no latitude in it. The only appeal is if the data in the system that got put in there was incorrect. For example, wrong name, wrong score. That's about it. Any questions?
Peter, it's Matt Ames again. I know you're saying it's super rare. I don't expect any of that from my guys. So this is more like, again, something happens in a match, like a conduct type thing, and it happens 3 times and they're out. Is that what we're talking about here?
It's not conduct.
Okay.
It's playing out of level.
Okay, thank you.
And it includes matches played during the season.
Okay, same thing.
Okay,
For that, I don't think we're in that bucket.
good.
Okay, so moving to medical timeouts. I put this in because I wanted you guys to all know that there is a lot of gray area when it comes to medical timeouts and bleeding timeouts. The problem is that the code of the Forensic Court, when it comes to medical timeouts is really referring to championships and tournaments where there is a referee and or a head official and an athletic trainer. We don't have athletic trainers, so we have to kind of handle the medical timeouts on our own. So if you have an athletic trainer, they get almost an unlimited time to kind of evaluate the player. And then when they start any kind of treatment, they get 3 minutes, with the maximum allowed being 15 minutes. So if for some reason somebody on your court gets hurt or they're cramping and they want to take a medical timeout, somebody from that court needs to come to the tournament desk and get the site director or the assistant site director. They will come out. We are not medical staff. None of us are medically trained. We do have first aid certifications, some of us, but we are not doctors. So we can give ice. We can allow you some time to kind of work out whatever it is. But from the time that we get on the court with ice or whatever it happens to be, the 3 minutes.
He's got to go. Thank you.
The 3 minutes would then start. Again, your players cannot signal to you to come get somebody for a medical timeout. Now, I will put this disclaimer in there: is if there is something very catastrophic that happens, please come get us. Bleeding timeouts take a little bit more time because we have to stop the bleeding, clean up the court, and dispose of contaminated items. All of that to say, just give us a little leeway when it comes to the medical timeouts and the time. We want to do our best for players and let everybody, we want everybody to be healthy and safe. Medical conditions include injuries, illness, heat-related conditions, or cramping. However, you can't take more than one medical timeout.
It's all over me.
More than one medical timeout for the same condition. So if you have cramping in your left leg at one point and you take a medical timeout, then you can't take a medical timeout for cramping in your right leg. So those are just some guidelines, and we try to do our best. And I think most of the time everybody is pretty good, but just know that 3 minutes starts from the time of treatment. And then at that point, they would have to decide whether or not they were going to continue playing or they were going to retire the match. So this goes a little bit back to, I think, what somebody was mentioning about behavior. Know that your site directors and assistant site directors act as officials in the capacity if there's a code violation of any kind. That is smashing your racket, cursing, being verbally abusive, slamming a ball into somebody. All of those things would result in an instant code violation from a tournament director. And those codes come with points. So your points, when you get added to your account for code violations, are national. And if you get enough points accumulated in a certain period of time, then you can be suspended from play in the entire country. So this is a couple of years old now. It used to be just section wide, but now all of the suspensions are nationwide. So you can't go to Florida and play. You can't go to Eastern and play in New York. So everybody have good behavior. And if you, again, I'm going to reiterate, if your players are having trouble on court with their opponents, or they think that there's something going on that shouldn't be going on, they need to immediately come to the site director and talk to them. They can't come up after the match and say, this happened on court in the second set. We need to know about it immediately so that we can address it. We can't do anything with it after the fact. The fun stuff, we want photos and stories. So if you have fun photos, you can use USTA New England's Instagram, and you can send it to James and Ludmila via direct message, or you can drop them in the link that's hyperlinked in here that says here, and we will work on those, get the marketing team to get those fun pictures out. And then just please tell us your story, because we really want to hear from you about, why are you a captain, or what makes your team special, or what fun things have you guys done together as a team. We're really trying to shift some of our focus on the marketing and the storytelling, so that people know that it is about winning and coming to championships, and it's fun, but it's also about making memories and having experiences together with your friends and family. So tell us your story. All right, so the adult 40 and over is kind of all over the place for the national championship this year. This is the calendar. I won't read it to you because you guys have it. It is hyperlinked in here, so you can also keep the hyperlink. But just know that these dates and times for this year are set in stone. And if you make it, those are the dates and locations that you will be attending the national championship. Couple of FAQs. No courts will be available for practice before or during the championship. We don't have enough courts for everybody to practice, so we can't allow anybody to practice. You're more than welcome to find other facilities or outdoor courts, park and recs. It's supposed to be really beautiful this weekend, so if you guys want to go outside and practice, that's fine. You just can't practice at the facility where we're having the championships. Masks are optional on and off the court, so please be respectful of anybody who is or is not wearing a mask. And please bring plenty of water and snacks with you. Most of the clubs have water that you can buy, but that sometimes you just don't want to count on it. Make sure that you got coolers with water. You can bring the rolling coolers with you with ice and bring them in. The only thing that's allowed on court are clear liquids. So please don't let your players put coffee or red Gatorade on the court. If it gets knocked over and stains the court, then we get in the doghouse with the owners. So does anybody have any other questions? Anything we haven't covered? Anything you need clarification on?
I have a question.
Sure.
If your team makes it to finals and does win, how long does the team have to confirm that they have enough people that can get to the West Coast for that tournament? Do we have to tell you that day, or how much time do we have?
I mean, the sooner the better. I have to have everybody's information in by September 15th for all of the championships.
Okay. So it doesn't have to be determined that day.
Not that day, but the sooner the better, because if we do need to go to the second place team, we want to give them plenty of time to organize themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we have a few links here. There is a captain's Facebook page, so we're very happy if you pop on it. We try to kind of keep it updated with good stuff and fun stuff. It's not specific to championships, but we do put the championship information there. We also have a brand new captain's hub, which again is not specific to championships, but it's got everything in there from your local area regulations to information about championships, information about being a new captain. And there is a link on it that asks if you have suggestions. We definitely want suggestions for the Captain's Hub. We want to make that the one-stop shop for you guys so that you can get in and things are easier for you to find and you can get the information that you need when you need it. The important documents, this is the ShowPad link that has the regulations, it has your schedules. It is updated in real time. So if there's a change to any of it, that link is always the most recent information. So if you download something, that's great. But if there is something that changes, it'll be hyperlinked in here. We have an online store. So if you want some swag or you want some captain gear, anything that you buy on the online store, 10% goes to the New England Tennis and Education Foundation, which goes to support our kids programs across the section. And our Color Wars color for this year at Nationals is pink. So there are some items on the online store that have our Color Wars color on them as well. So pop on and see what they've got and have some fun shopping a little bit.
Chris, do you remember I told you I was having trouble finding the link to that store?
Yes.
You were going to send me it.
Okay. And you should be, when I send this as a PDF, you should be able to click through on this.
On a PDF?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. What else, you guys? Anything else that you guys can think of? You have questions for me with?
Is 8 a.m. the first start time on Saturday? So the chances of somebody starting 45 minutes prior to that is moot.
So you still need to be there 45 minutes early as a captain so that we can get you all of your information and you can turn your lineup in 30 minutes early. Typically what we try to do on the first match of the day, the 8 o'clock match, is get you out about 7:45 so you can have a warm up and start at 8. But if you tell your players, then they're going to show up at 7:45, or then they're going to show up at 7:50, or then they're going to show up at 2 minutes to 8, and then it's going to get really tight later. So
Fair.
Yeah. So I put the online store link in the chat if you guys
I
want.
got it. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. Anything else, you guys?
Thank you.
You're welcome. I am going to stop recording now.